in the stream. I don't see us. Waiting.
Will be. You got to remember, we're going to be delayed a couple of seconds, and this is live now.
Yes, we're finally here. Okay, so welcome to the Upside Down Summit. So in the stream, Upside Down. I'm getting feedback from my other. So Upside Down Summit. It all kind of fits what just happened. So I want to give huge props to Larry right off the get-go because he was in the background going, oh, stream A doesn't work. We go to stream B, and it all works out. So, and I love that Natasha, we were just sitting here chatting in the background. She just popped in a question and all of a sudden the chat blew up. So this engagement on a Sunday morning, we want to thank all of you for one, coming, two, for getting online, finding the link, getting here, which is a huge accomplishment. So we're always looking at like this one, step one, we've already succeeded for today. Now, for those of you, I've had a couple of people reach out to me. If you have not watched Stranger Things, the upside down just means whatever we thought we knew is upside down. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. Originally, the second summit was supposed to be in person. And we actually thought that we were going to be over all this and be face-to-face and that this would all be different. Little did we know that these are trying times and we have to adjust. So this summit's focus is all built on having us find our way. Now, Natasha, I'm going to introduce her at the end. I first want to give an opportunity for Larry to talk a little bit about what's putting this on and how this is coming together. But for me, I want to make sure I thank you all for coming, for making this a possibility, for giving up your own time. I know it's still the holidays. I know it's a Sunday. I know some of you might be missing your football games, but I want you to know that for us, this is about us helping you and changing everything from the upside down to something that we can do together. All right, Larry, would you talk a little bit about ITerateEd and Saluko?
I will, thank you, and I'm going to keep it short. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. I want to second that. Your time is valuable to us, so thank you again. ITerateEd's ongoing mission is to demystify technology for everyone. We're incredibly thrilled to have you all here today, and once more to bring more talented folks together to work with you. And I need to give a huge thank you to George Barsonis, my man right over here in the next panel, for being a wizard at putting all of this together. Your talent is immeasurable, and I'm lucky to work with you. Thank you. I also want to thank our co-sponsor, Mark Tong with Siloco. Mark is helping us be able to bring everybody here together today. And he and I have been colleagues for over a decade. His passion to support everyone with technology is unsurpassed. Mark actually came to work with me a little while ago when I was first getting started as a computer lab assistant at Old Adobe. And his time there with me not only set the district, but also myself on a path of success. So if your district is struggling to adapt to the challenges of distance learning or is looking for solid technology support, Siloco is a great asset. They can be reached at support@siloco.com. And thank you, Mark, for helping us out.
Okay, so now we want to give Natasha as much time as possible. I just want to give you guys a quick blurb about her. I could read 2 pages of information about her. So I'm going to tell you, if you want to know more about all the qualifications she has, all the things she's accomplished, you can Google that. What I want to give you right now is the stuff you can't Google, and it's the stuff that the reason she's here today. Natasha, I actually feel like I've known her all my life, but really, honestly, it's only been, 4 or 5 years that we've actually known each other. And we found each other in the coldest place on earth called Minnesota. And we were at this conference together that they brought us together to help us develop our voices and to help us find our message. And Natasha's message from day one was one that brought me to tears and made me feel like, hey, someone else feels exactly the way I do. Someone else is my counterpoint. Now, the thing you're going to hear about today with her why, and I'm not going to give up too much about her, you're going to feel her keynote not only in the realm of her knowledge, but in the realm of her heart. So what I want you guys to know is today, take this today as a complete message. She's going to start us off. The sessions are all going to be continuing this message. And when we come together at the end of all the things that you've accomplished, please remember that this is all about you finding your why and their why driving your intention. So Natasha, I appreciate you so much and I love you. And I thank you for coming. And I'm so excited about this. I can't even wait. I'm going to stop talking so I can watch you. But Natasha, thank you for coming.
Okay, so total butterflies, like tissue boxes sitting right here. Like, I'm like trying not to like cry. George, thank you so much. The love is definitely mutual. I'm just so honored to be here with you and Larry, and like 75 teachers watching live right now, and those of you that will watch this after the fact. I'm just super honored to be here with you this morning. As you can probably hear, I'm not joining you from California. Although I did grow up in California. I'm actually joining you from the other coast, Southeast. I'm actually joining you from Atlanta. So super excited to be joining. I know it's super early for a lot of you guys this morning, but it's almost lunchtime here for us. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. How many times have we said that in since March 13th, right? All right, so there we go. So the whole message of my story is using your why to drive your intention. And I really hope that you will get to know a little bit more about me and my story as I share just my whole story with you today. I'm going to try to get through all of this without crying. If you have ever seen George's keynote, if you have seen George's keynote, in the chat box, let me know. George's keynote pulls at your heartstrings in so many ways. I have seen it probably, I don't know, 10 to 20 times, and I know exactly what he's going to say. And every time I see it, I break down into tears. George's keynote is one that just really gets you to just really think and ponder and just really think about those people that have had an impact on your life. And I just know that as I share my story with you, I hope that you will consider those people that have had an impact on your life, personally and professionally. And so we're just going to jump in and we're just going to get started. And as I'm sharing my stories and these stories with you, I hope that you will just really just go back to the why of why you got into teaching. And I just want to start out with just thanking you. I want to thank you for just being here today, for being here this morning, for waking up super early this morning to hear this keynote and hear what I have to share with you this morning. And on a Sunday, right? Early in the morning, like George said, you could be watching football or sleeping in, but you woke up to continue your learning. I go back to work tomorrow. I'm not sure when your return to work date is, but you guys are here. And so I just want to thank you. And with everything that's going on in the world, I just think it's super commendable that you are taking time out of your schedules and your personal times to continue your learning and continue your growth so you can better pour into your students. So not going to go through all of this. George, like he said, you can Google it. It's just part of our keynote that we have to have in there. So, like I said, I'm joining you from Atlanta. I'm a digital learning specialist. I work for Atlanta Public Schools. My office where I work, I'm central office based. We work smack dab in the middle of downtown Atlanta, and our office is right cat-a-corner to the Capitol building. So whenever there are protests or marches or whatever you want to call whatever is happening over there, we can see it right outside of our office building, which sometimes gets very interesting. Out of our other window, we have a direct view of the former Turner Field where the Atlanta Braves played. And now we can also see the Olympics Tower that was built when the Olympics were here, that Muhammad Ali actually lit the cauldron at the top. So we have a pretty cool view. We also have a direct view of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which the Atlanta Falcons aren't really doing too much. But every day is different. Some days we are emptying library boxes and launching tablet to read programs and touring buildings and wearing hard hats and playing Minecraft with kids. Every day is different and we love it, and we just wouldn't have it any other way. Definitely have to just give a shout out to my family for their support. This is my youngest son that is standing above me. He is a junior in high school. The oldest is 23 on the top right, and he actually just left this morning. He was home for the holidays and left this morning right before I hopped on to spend time with you guys. So our loud house of 4 is now back down to a house of 3. And then that's my husband there sitting next to me. So if I were with you all face-to-face, I would have you all stand up, but we're not face-to-face. So what I'm going to have you do, and I'm just going to trust that you all will do it, if you will just indulge me for a moment, is to take your pointer finger and to point to the ceiling, and then point to the left, and then point to the right, point to the floor, and then I want you to point to yourself. And I want you to notice where you're pointing. And if we were in a room together, I would have you look around and notice where everybody was pointing. 99% of the people that you do this exercise with will point to their hearts. And that's where we want to make sure that we're touching our students each and every day. Okay. I just find that super interesting that when you ask people to point to themselves, that's where they always point. Every day we get to make a choice. We decide what we're going to wear when we wake up. We decide what we're going to eat throughout the day. We decide what jobs we want to have. We get to make all these choices throughout the day. And as we interact with our students, and even when you make your choices to attend your sessions today, make sure that you're making choices that are going to impact and benefit not only you, but your students in the end, and make sure that you're making the best decisions to impact those that you love and care about, okay? As we move into this new semester, I want to challenge you to make 3 choices. So even though we are walking into this upside down world, this world of the unknown, and admittedly, I only watched a couple episodes of Stranger Things, so now I'm like super intrigued to go watch the rest of it. I want to challenge you to make 3 choices, 3 decisions, 3 intentional decisions. The first is to honor relationships. The second is to know your why and to really get back to your why. And the third is to live with intention. And we're going to talk about those 3 things. I'm going to give you some stories. I'm going to tell you some stories surrounding those 3 things. Let's talk about honoring relationships first. This is where my teaching career started, my educational career at Lithonia High School, which is about 25 minutes east of Atlanta. I actually am a second career educator. I started in retail management. And quit my retail management job after college and became a substitute teacher. If there are any second career educators, I'm actually looking at the chat over here. If there's anyone that's a second career educator, alternatively certified teacher, let me know in the chat. I would love to give you a shout out. I have a special place in my heart for those of us that are second career educators. But I quit my retail management job and became a substitute teacher, and I substitute taught at Lithonia High School and became a full-time science teacher at this same school. And I remember sitting across from the principal in my interview for that full-time science teacher position, and her office is actually that window to the right there of the flagpole. So I'm just going to take a pause here. I see Haley, Patricia, and Lynn, and Helen, and Michael. Yes, I just have to give you kudos and kisses from Atlanta. We're awesome. Will, Kristen, oh, lots of you guys. Alex, I love it. Yes, yay. We're a special group of people. I could go on and on all day about us, but definitely congratulations for making that decision to pour into children. Edenina, I love it. Okay, so the principal's office was to the right of that flagpole there. And she said to me, sitting across from her desk, she said, you know, and I'll never forget these words. This was back in 2004. She said, I see something in you. She said, I'm going to take a chance on you. You're going to be my star baby and you're going to make me proud. I will never forget those words to this day. Here we are. This is my 17th year, I think, 18th. You know, you lose count when you get up there in education. And to this day, I still strive every day to make Margie Smith proud every single day. I still keep in touch with her, but it was because of her taking a chance on me that I was able to meet students like Brandon. This is Brandon at his high school graduation on the left and his college graduation from Yale on the right. Let me back up and just say that Lithonia High School was a Title I school, 99% free and reduced lunch, 99% African-American students, and not in the best of areas of town. Brandon got a full ride academic scholarship to Yale and graduated with honors. He actually lives in Washington, D.C. now, and he is getting ready to move to I just talked to him to get his master's. He just got into the master's program at Columbia, his MBA. So he's getting ready to move so he can go ahead and to pursue that next level of his dreams. But he's an amazing student. He lived and worked in Washington, D.C. for a long time. Him and his 3 best friends lived in this like penthouse and like lived together in this penthouse of some apartment in Washington, D.C. And just an amazing, amazing kid. I also was able to teach and meet students like Jamar. Jamar is one of my babies as well. Jamar ran for city council in Baltimore. He's also an educator. So funny enough, I taught him and he's an educator. And his slogan, his last name is Day. His slogan in Baltimore for when he ran for city council was "It's a new day." He didn't win, but he saw so much that he wanted to change that he actually took the steps to run for city council. And I just, as an educator and somebody that was a part of his life, even if it was just like a tiny little piece, it just makes me just fill with so much joy. So I absolutely love that he saw that he wanted to make so much change. He is one of the most passionate educators that I know, like even people my age, people that are older than me. I just love him. I follow him on Facebook, of course, and he's just absolutely just every day, he's just wanting to make so much change. I also got to interact and meet with students like Sheldon. Sheldon, I'm 5'3.5" on a good day. And Sheldon is like 6 feet tall. And Sheldon's like my big teddy bear, just real quiet kid, did his work, like didn't really say a lot. And so one day I taught environmental science this particular semester. And so I gave this class this project and I said, we're studying the water cycle, the nitrogen cycle, and the carbon cycle. Pick a cycle, pick whichever of the 3 you want, create something and bring it back in a week. Gave them open parameter, free reign, do what you want to do. He came to class the next day and slapped a CD. So this was back in maybe 2005. Slapped a CD down on my desk, and in black Sharpie on the CD, it said water cycle wrap. I have it in a teacher box in the garage, and I keep saying, I was supposed to do it over Christmas break, like clean out all my teacher boxes. And of course I sat and binge watched Netflix the whole time, so it didn't happen. But I want to find this CD so I can get the wrap off of it to include in this keynote. But he was so proud of it. And he said, Miss Rachel, can you put it in the computer? And back then we had the big box computers where you push the button and this little CD thing like came out and you put the CD in and pushed it. And I said, yeah, Sheldon, I'll listen to it. And he said, no, like put it in, like I want you to play it. Which to me was really odd because he was a super quiet kid, but he wanted me to like play it in front of the entire class. And so I said, okay, Sheldon, I'll put it in. So I put it in and he so let me back up. That day that I gave him the assignment, which was the day before, like that night he went to the studio. So he was into music and production and that kind of thing. He went to the studio, laid down a track, wrote a rap about did the research, wrote a rap about the water cycle and like rapped it, recorded it, bring it to class the next day. He even gave me a shout out in the rap, which at that point I was like A+ for Sheldon. And on that test or that quiz or whatever that we gave that next time on that section, he got perfect on that section about the water cycle. He even knew facts about the water cycle that we hadn't gone over in class because he did the research for the project. Amazing. I had to meet my kids where they were. I had to meet them where their interests were. His interest was music. It worked. And then students like Kirsten. Kirsten is my baby. I love this little girl so much. I was also one of the cheerleading coaches at this school, and her father passed away when she was a little girl, and she asked if I would walk with her mom on senior night and escort her down for senior night. So that's us doing that on the left, her high school graduation there on the right. What is so funny is you guys are seeing me at like all these different phases of my life. Kirsten was so much a part of my family's life. She also was a camp counselor. That's my youngest son there when he was a little kid, that she was his camp counselor. So I actually got an invitation to her wedding. This is her and her fiance here on the right. I got to see her get married in December of 2019, she just had her first baby, and she's just doing amazing. Students like Cortez. Now this is Cortez with a C, because I'm going to talk about another one in a little bit. Cortez, what can I say about Cortez? Cortez is absolutely amazing. Cortez is another tall student, tall, and just for some reason, I guess because I'm short, all my boys were super tall. Cortez's story is he had a class that he was taking online. And this was a class that he needed to graduate. So he was taking all his in-school classes, and he had this class online. And so he was passing all of his in-school classes, but his graduation depended on this one online class. And so everybody taking their online classes were going to the counseling center to find out if they passed this class or passed their classes. And he wouldn't go. And I said, Cortez, go find out, like, so we can celebrate, like, let's go. And he said, Miss Rachel, I can't, I don't think I passed. And I was like, dude, like, let's go to the counseling center. And he said, can you go with me? And I said, okay, let's go. So we go to the counseling center, and he said, I need you to go in there and find out. And I'm like, dude, like, this is how I talk to my kids, man up and get in there and go find out. And he said, I can't, like, I need you to go find out. So I go in there, I find out, and he and I play jokes on each other all the time, which probably is totally, in hindsight, inappropriate as a teacher. But I walked out, and I just had my head down, and I said, let's go. And we walked out of the counseling center, quiet, all the way down the hall. My class was the last classroom on the end of this long hallway. We didn't say anything the whole way down. And we get in front of my class. I'm going to cry. And I looked up at him, and I said, Cortez, you passed. And we just, I'm going to cry. I remember it like it was yesterday. And we both stood there in the hallway, and we just cried, and we were hugging and screaming. Best moment ever. And him graduating depended on him passing that class. Cortez and I were the biggest Kobe Bryant fans. Like, it was always us against everybody else talking about LeBron James. When Kobe Bryant passed away, he was the first person to call me. In fact, we were sitting, my family was actually visiting my oldest son up in Tennessee that weekend. And so we were sitting on the couch, we were getting ready to leave to come back to Atlanta. And my oldest son, I guess somebody texted him and said, Kobe Bryant just passed away. And I was like, yeah, right. And then my phone rang, and it was Cortez. And he said, Miss Rachel, is it true? And I said, no, it's not true. And then my oldest son started flipping the TV channels, and then that's how we found out. And so Cortez and I, for that whole week, were just calling and texting each other back and forth, just sharing stories about Kobe and sending each other video clips and that kind of thing. So it's been years since I taught Cortez, but we still keep in contact, talking about Kobe Bryant and just life and that kind of thing. So bond with your kids over stuff that's not necessarily just school related. Find those common things that you have in common. Cortez with a K. Okay, get it together, Tasha. Cortez with a K. Love, love, love Cortez with a K. He got me to fall in love with John Legend. He would have his Walkman on, the CD Walkman player, singing his songs all the time. The first album got me to fall in love with John Legend. I had this rule with my students. We cannot be Facebook friends until after you graduate. You can request me, and if I like you, I'll friend you. If not, then I won't accept your friend request. So he friend requested me, and I accepted it. And so one day I put out on Facebook, tell me about a teacher that inspired you. And wasn't expecting to hear from any of my former students, really. But Cortez responded, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but down here on the bottom, he said, I still remember when they told me about the high school part of the graduation test. He said, I came to you crying like a baby because I thought all of my plans would be put on halt and I would not be able to graduate. The first thing you said to me was, boy, pull yourself together and let's figure it out and revisit the portions where he was lacking. He said, it definitely will never go unnoticed. You definitely played a major part in saving my life. Now, what's funny is I do not remember this interaction whatsoever. but Cortez does. And if you think about it, if you think back to the educators, the teachers that you had from your K through 12 career, you probably remember all 12 of those teachers, actually more than 12, because in high school and middle school, you probably rotated classes. You probably remember all, if not most of all of those teachers. But think about how many students those teachers had over that time. There's no way that they remember every single one of their students and every single interaction that they had with all of those students. So for Cortez to remember this particular interaction just absolutely, number one, means the world to me. But number two, it really makes me realize that in my mind, I don't feel like I saved Cortez's life. Like Cortez, I'm sure I helped him prepare for this test. I'm sure Cortez would have passed this test, but I'm just so grateful that he feels like this interaction was so important. And I hope that's coming across and making sense. But it just goes to show you that people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. This is one of my absolute North Star quotes that I live by and carry with me. Just like I will never forget how Mr. Pac-Man made me feel. Mr. Pac-Man was a substitute teacher that I had in the 4th grade. That's 4th grade me, eyebrows and teeth for days. And don't know what his real name was. I actually lived in Diamond Bar, California at the time. And he told us to call him Mr. Pac-Man. So I was a student. I would break my pencil lead just to get up and walk to the trash can to sharpen my pencil. I would ball up an empty piece of paper just to walk to the trash can, just to get up and walk. I was bored. I really think I was gifted, but I was bored, right? Like I wanted to get up and walk and talk to my friends and that kind of thing. And I will never forget, this was in the 4th grade, about the 4th or 5th time of me getting up out of my chair and walking to the trash can or the pencil sharpener. He said to me in front of the entire class, "You are just like Marilyn Monroe. You're pretty, but you're dumb." I will never forget that. I was in the 4th grade. You really have to be responsible for the energy that you bring into spaces and the things that you say to your students. They remember everything. They will never forget. They'll never forget the good, and they'll never forget the bad. Even on our bad days, the stress and the pressure that we're under dealing with the whole COVID situation, the stress of life, financial stress, health stress, everything that we're dealing with, the stress of our kids, even us working from home and then having to be homeschool parents ourselves, which if you have kids and you've been working from home and homeschooling, it's been a struggle. The energy that we bring to our students, you have to really be responsible for that. They feel and know everything. About a year and a half ago, I was fortunate to be able to attend a Live to Lead conference. And if it ever comes to where you live, I would definitely suggest that you go. It's actually put on by John Maxwell, who I love. I definitely have read a ton of his books, and I think he's awesome. But if I'm being honest, I went because I knew Rachel Hollis was going to be there and I wanted to meet her. And this conference was a lot cheaper than paying to go to one of her conferences. And so I was like, hey, maybe I'll get to meet her. I'll go to this one. And I did get to meet her. So it served its purpose. But I also got to meet Marcus Buckingham. And if you've never heard of Marcus Buckingham, if you have ever read this book, Discover Your Strengths, or you ever have taken the Strengths Finder exam, then you know who he is. He's one of the authors of that book. And so it was at this conference that he told this story. And I didn't know who he was when I saw his name on the registration program. But let me tell you his story. And I'm not just telling his business. Let me preface with that, because he shared the story there and he shares his story publicly. So I always like to preface with that because I don't want to be a gossiper about his business. Marcus Buckingham shared this story of his 2 kids. He has a son and a daughter. And he shared with us that his son, when he was little, they noticed maybe some like slower learning disabilities with his son, or that he processed a little bit slower. And, they dealt with it throughout the years and got him the help that he needed. And so when it was time for him to start taking his tests for college acceptance, his son really studied, he put the effort in, he really put the energy in. And when he got his ACT scores back, they were really, really high. And his son was so excited. Fast forward to a Sunday morning, and the parents are divorced. Let me say that the parents are divorced. Fast forward to a Sunday morning, and Marcus gets a phone call from his son. Dad, come quick, come quick, come quick. The police just came and took Mom away to jail. She's in jail. You got to come over. You got to come over. So Marcus goes over there. Long story short, the mom paid someone $50,000 to take the ACT for the son and was planning to do the same for the daughter. And the son was just so heartbroken, because the one thing that he said to his dad was that, why didn't she see me? Like, I was really trying, I studied, like, she just didn't see me. And so Marcus, the one thing he kept sharing with us at this conference was, create a safe space of love. Like, he had this whole speech prepared for us at this conference, and he like put it to the side and just spoke to us from his heart. He's one of the most genuine people I've had the pleasure of hearing speak. And so he talked about, he's English, and he talked about the American testing system, which we could totally spend hours talking about. But he just talked about educators, and he talked about creating a safe space for your students. And he talked about parents creating a safe space for their kids. And he just kept saying, see them, see your students, see your kids, like, love them, see them. And so I just wanted to share that message with you. His wife got caught up in the whole university cheating scandal with all the people. And Marcus knew nothing about it. And so anyway, the son and the daughter are doing amazing things now. They've been able to, move on and get past this, but it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. But the one thing that he just kept saying, create that safe space for your kids and see them, give them a chance to thrive. The next story that I want to share with you is about what I call my hallway homies. And so because I taught a lot of senior science classes, I would see a lot of students in the hallways, their freshman, sophomore, and junior years. And so I would have a chance to walk by them and, do the latest dance, or, teach them a dance move or learn a dance move from them, or even come up with a cute little handshake for all of them. And so by the time I got them as seniors, we had a relationship, right? I never was that teacher that had an issue with students, because I knew them all by the time I got them as seniors. And so this one particular semester, I had this group of 5 African-American male students, and I'm visualizing my classroom. They sat in the back right-hand corner of my class, and they were 5 best friends. If you saw one, you saw all 5, right? The first 2 are deceased. One was playing Russian roulette, Martin Luther King Day weekend. So we're actually coming up on the anniversary of his passing. And I say accidentally, shot himself in the head and died. The other one was shot and killed over a card game a few years ago. And he is deceased, obviously. The second 2 are in jail. One was a serial rapist. These are all students, let me say, that I have hugged, loved on. If you can't tell, I'm like that emotional, like loving teacher. So these were all like my guys, right? And I have 2 brothers. So, love my guy students. He was a serial rapist, and so he was arrested and he's still in jail. The other one strangled and killed his girlfriend and her best friend over some money that he claimed that they owed to him. And then the last one is Matt. This is Matt. Matt is actually a police officer. He is doing amazing. He's married, that's his son. And Matt and I talk about once a month, I'm sorry, just to kind of check in and touch base. And I imagine I'll probably talk to him in the next, either this week or next week with that anniversary coming up. But Matt is just amazing. And I always ask him when we talk, just as a check-in, like, how are you doing and that kind of thing. And it always comes up somehow, like, Matt, what was different about your path? Like, you're a police officer, like you rose up from the kinds of things that people at the school were doing. Like, what was different about your journey and your path? And he always says, in some way, shape, or form, Miss Rachel, I never wanted to let you down. And the stories that he tells me about the things that he used to do, I'm just like, oh, part of me is like, I want to know more because I want to know like more about you. But then part of me is like, no, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. But he's just doing amazing. I'm so, so proud of him. And I'm just so, so proud of him. It touches me. And I just want to remind you that you are going to be placed with those specific students in your class this semester, next fall, the semester after that, during that class, that year, for a reason. They could be placed in Miss Jones' class, they could be placed in George's class or Larry's class or whoever's class, but they're going to be placed in your class. You could call it computer automated role, you could call it God, you could call it divine intervention, you call it whatever you want, but there's some reason why they're going to be placed on your roster. You have a huge responsibility to pour into each of those kids that has been uniquely placed on your roster. Let's talk about knowing your why. Simon Sinek, if you do not know who he is or you have not read his book, Start With Why. If you are a leader, he has a book called Leaders Eat Last. I actually have it back here on my bookshelf back here. 2 great books. He has this circle called the Golden Circle. He says that when you know your why, your how, and your what come together. I also add to this and I say that when you know your why, you walk with more intention. And so part of your why as an educator and part of your intention is to make sure that you're providing every student with an opportunity for their voices to be amplified. And with everything that we have access to and all these awesome sessions that you're going to attend today, you don't have an excuse. Like, there's tons of stuff out there, but I don't want you to let your fear of what could happen make nothing happen. Don't be afraid of, oh, it might not work. Like, even this morning we had technical difficulties, but we knew it was going to work. Like, Larry figured it out. I heard him like over there banging on some keys, and then all of a sudden we were live, right? Like, don't be afraid of what could happen and allow that to make nothing happen. Also, don't let the fears and insecurities and limiting beliefs of other people limit what's possible for you. Just because something doesn't work for, I keep saying Miss Jones' class down the hallway, or George's class to the other side of you, just because it doesn't work for them doesn't mean it's not going to work for you and your kids. Take risks, like take leaps, take bounds, like try it. If you learn something today and you're like, wow, I think my kids would love that, try it. And the other thing too, like tell your kids, be transparent and say, hey guys, we're going to try something new. First time I'm trying it, let's just try it and see if it works. They will be so excited to try something new with you. Like, give it a try. Don't be scared. Michael Jr. is a comedian who travels across the world, and he goes to all these different conferences and all these kinds of things. And in this particular example that I'm going to show you, he's at a men's teacher conference, or it's a teacher conference. And for some reason, the men are split up from the female teachers. Not sure why, but there's this specific teacher that he finds out is a music teacher. And he asks him to sing a couple lines of Amazing Grace.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying?
So he tells him, that was good, right? You did a good job. He said, but now I want you to sing it like your uncle just got out of jail. And you can find the whole clip on YouTube. Your uncle just got out of jail. You got shot in the back when you were a child. He said, give me that version.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
The only difference between the two versions was that he knew his why. When you know your why, your what has more purpose and impact. The only difference was that he knew why he was singing the song. The last thing I want to touch on is living with intention. And I want to ask you, what are you intentional about every day? Oprah Winfrey, in her magazine, if anyone reads her magazine or if you've read it before, the last page of her magazine always has this column called What I Know for Sure. And she took a lot of those, her best ones, and she put them into a little book called What I Know for Sure. And she has all these different stories that she's put together in this book. And so she talks about these 5-star moments. And she says, if something doesn't bring you a 5-star moment, you shouldn't do it. And so she talked about a strong cup of coffee with a perfect hazelnut creamer creates a 4-star moment for her. She said, picking up dog poop is no stars. Working out is a 1-star, but being able to do good for other people is a 5-star plus moment. And as I read this particular story in her book, the audiobook is really good too. As I read this particular story, it made me think about what we do as educators. This is what we do every day for our students. We create good opportunities, good lessons, good situations, just good moments for our students. We do good for our students every day. So I just challenge you to create those 5-star moments intentionally for your students and also your colleagues every day. So I want to share a personal story with you. I talked to you earlier about me having 2 brothers. This is my twin brother on the left and our little brother here in the middle. And this was on my little brother's wedding day. It was August 27th, 2016. And not even 1 month later, on September 18th, so the wedding was in California, so celebrated, and then I flew back to Atlanta. So a month later, on September 18th, it was actually on a Sunday, I was in our local grocery store. I had been on Pinterest that morning. I'm going to direct this to my ladies because we are total Pinterest people. I had found, do y'all remember these salads in a jar, these mason jars, the big ones, and people were doing these salads in a jar? I found this recipe for a Greek salad in a jar, and I was going to go make it for the week that week. I was going to be healthy that week and create these salads in a jar. So I created my grocery list. It was like 8:30 in the morning. I got dressed and ran up the street to the grocery store. And I get there and I'm reaching up for a can of chickpeas. Remember, I told you I'm 5'3". So I'm reaching up for a can of chickpeas and my cell phone rings. And it's so funny that I remember every single detail of this moment, right? I think when you go through things, you just remember details. And my cell phone rings. So I reach in my purse and I grab my cell phone and it's my little brother. So I do the math in my head. It's 9 o'clock where I am in the morning, 6 o'clock in California. So automatically I'm like, okay, something's wrong. So I answer the phone and he is frantic. And he's like, I can't get a hold of mom. Our mom lives in Phoenix. Excuse me. He says, I can't get a hold of mom. Jermaine's been in a car accident. He's on the way to the ICU and I can't get a hold of mom. And he's just screaming. And, you know, I'm just trying to make heads and tails of what he's saying. And so I'm standing in the grocery store, cart full of groceries, tears streaming down my face, trying to call my mom, can't get a hold of her. Come to find out she was in the shower trying to get her day started. And so it was just a super frantic moment, like people walking by, like have you seen those movies where people are just standing and they're still, but then like the world is just like going by them super fast? That's what it felt like, right? And so not even an hour later, this is what was floating around Facebook. And love-hate relationship with Facebook. Like I love it for connection and community, but this goes out on Facebook and we hadn't even had a chance to like contact who we needed to contact yet, right? And so people found this article, people from college and high school, and they start like retweeting, like reposting and sharing and calling me and messaging me. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, like, got to shut it down and I got to make sure my brother's okay. So this is the picture. And then there was an article that followed. This is his car here that was up on the side. And this is the article that went along with it. A 30-year-old man reported to be near death following a single vehicle rollover. And the one thing that I guess I could, in hindsight now, smile about is it said a 30-year-old man. This was in September. That November, we actually were celebrating our 40th birthday. So if he's 30, we're twins. In my mind, I'm like, hey, if they think he's 30, we've got some good genes. They think I'm 30 too. This is what his car looked like when we went to go retrieve his belongings from the car. They actually had to cut the side door off. I immediately hopped on a plane and flew out there to be with him. He was in a coma for 10 days. He had to learn how to breathe and talk and eat and all of that stuff all over again. And so this is him. He had his seatbelt on, thank God. His car flipped 3 times. He's still not walking. So it's been 4 years now. He's still not walking. He can move his legs. The way that the doctor described it to us is when you walk, your brain just knows to move your legs, left, right, left, right, left, right. And they're like little freeways in your brain that tell your body to do that. And when his accident happened, all of his freeways just shut down, or if you think of it like a computer, it just shut down. And so when the switch came back on, all of those freeways have to reroute, and there's like a roadblock. So they have to figure out different ways to go. We're still hopeful one day that, he might be able to walk again. So but he's here. So we are super thankful and just super grateful that he is here. Long road ahead. He's, still doing physical therapy. It's just been absolutely amazing to see this process. This is him just learning how to stand up and walk and all this kind of stuff again. So he is my why. I'm not gonna cry. He is my why. So even on those days where you don't want to get up out of bed in the morning, or like tomorrow I'm going back to work for the first time in 2 weeks. And I know that alarm is going to go off at 6:30 in the morning. And I'm not going to want to get out of bed, right? Because we've been sleeping in every day. Or you may not want to work out, or, those tough days when you don't want to do your lesson plans or whatever. Figure out what your why is. Oh, y'all, I'm sorry. George, you got a crier today. Figure out what your why is and come back to that, right? And for me, my why is because he can't, I can, or I will, right? So go back to your why and push yourself to make the most out of every second of every minute of every hour, every single day. I want you to take a second. You can do this now. I'm going to give you just maybe 30 seconds to a minute to do this now. There's a website called futureme.org. And if you're on your computer, or if you have your cell phone handy or another device, if you'll just open up a new tab or go to this website, futureme.org, it's going to open up a box and it says, Dear Future Me. And I just want you to type in my why is, and I just want you really quick, whatever comes to mind, and you may have to put some more thought into it, but whatever comes to mind, I want you to just type out what your why is. And it's going to ask you, what date do you want this delivered on? I want you to type in April 15th, 2021. And then it's going to ask you for your email address. Go ahead and put your email address in there and then click send to the future. And what this is going to do on April the 15th, it's going to send you an email with your why. And it's going to, you're totally going to forget about it after you hit send. And on April 15th, you're going to get an email from yourself, and it's going to be your why. And I like that date because for us, I'm not sure when your spring break is, but for us, that's right after spring break. And I know everybody will be on the countdown to the end of the school year. But I think that's a good time to just be reminded of your why. Why are you teaching? Why are you waking up every day and pouring into kids? Why are you doing what you're doing every day? So if you'll just indulge me for just 30 seconds, send yourself a future letter, and then we'll come back together. And if anyone feels inclined, if you want to share your why in the chat, I would love to see those. If not, totally understand. Now, 15 more seconds. All righty. As you all are wrapping those up, and some of you may need some more time, that may be something that you can come back to during a break today, or maybe it's just something that you want to spend some more time on. I would also suggest, if it's something that you want to do, even put it on a Post-it note and post it on your bathroom mirror, or somewhere like on your car dashboard where you can see it every day, just to remind you of why you're doing what you do. So I see supporting others. George says that it's to live a life of service. I love that. Just living for something bigger than yourself. I absolutely love that. So it is because of all of these stories that I've shared with you today that I really have decided to focus on my why and live with gratitude and intention. And I have a session that I'm doing later talking about teacher morale and teacher self-care, where we'll dive into these a lot deeper. So I'm going to breeze through these really quick, some things that I've done. I started integrating a word of the year. So these are some of the words of the year that I have lived with over the years. Started doing a gratitude journal practice. We'll talk more about that. I'm a firm believer that the energy that you put out is what comes to you. And so I really have put a lot of things into practice since my brother's accident, to live more intentionally and to put that positive energy out, because I believe that's what's going to come back to me. I've started this 100 Happy Days challenge. I've done 2 of them completely, and I'm at the tail end of a 3rd round. We'll talk about that some more. These are just some moments that have been a part of that 100 Happy Days challenge. The one that just really stands out, I got to meet Congressman John Lewis up here on the top right-hand corner before he passed away. We actually have a school named after him in Atlanta Public Schools. And so I got to meet him, which was just such a huge, huge honor. I also put it out on Twitter to get some of these moments from my friends on Twitter. And so these are some of their moments, lots of pet pictures and pictures of their kids and that kind of thing. So absolutely love that they shared those with me. And so all of these things, it really just brings you back to this moment, right? Now matters more than any time in your life, because it's today that's determining who you're going to become and the quality and direction of your life. So making sure that you're putting those things into place to determine your why, to live with intention, to pour into yourself so you can better pour into other people. So you don't have permission to quit. People depend on you. Your family is depending on you. Your students are depending on you. Your colleagues are depending on you. If you have not yet listened to Michelle Obama's podcast, I highly recommend it. It's absolutely amazing. In one of the first episodes, she tells this story about her dad. And he said to her, "It's not enough to succeed on your own. He told her that you have to care about what happens to the next kid, or to the kid that sits in the desk next to you at school. And so she really carried that with her. Like, you can't just care about yourself. You have to care about what happens to the next kid sitting next to you, right? And so it's really about pouring into others and helping others and lifting other people up, taking in everyone's full story and not judging people because you don't know other people's stories. Like, think about all the stories that I've told you today. If you were to meet any of my students that I told you about today, you wouldn't even know some of their stories. So not judging people by what's happened to them. And also, if something good happens to you, you have an advantage, right? Don't hoard that, share it, reach out and give back, right? You're in a position, you have an opportunity, you have almost a responsibility to give back and share, okay? And everything that we're going through, it's all I love Michelle Obama, y'all. It's all a process. It's all steps along a path. Becoming requires equal parts patience and rigor. Becoming is never giving up on the idea that there's more growing to be done. And so you even being here today is part of that growing to be done. You growing to become a better person, to become a better educator, to become a better leader for your students and for your schools and for your communities. So I definitely, again, commend you for being here. The last thing I want to share with you is at that same Live to Lead conference that I attended, I did get to meet John Maxwell and I got to hear him speak. And he actually was really, really good. So even though I went to see Rachel Hollis and fell in love with Marcus Buckingham, I did get to meet John Maxwell and he was amazing. And he told this story about his dad. And at the time, his dad was getting ready to celebrate his 99th birthday the following week. And he said to us, he said, I was visiting my dad and my dad said, John, come here. And he said, he walked over to his dad and he said, yeah, Dad, what's going on? And he said, John, he said, I'm turning 99 next week. And he said, I really believe that my best days are ahead of me. And I thought, wow, if you're turning 99 and you still believe that your best days are ahead of you, like how could we feel at some of us being 25 or 35 or 45 or 55 and still believing that our best days are ahead of us? But if we continue to pour into ourselves and continue to learn and grow, our best days will still continue to be ahead of us. So I want to leave you with this.
Another step, another day, another breath. Been chasing dreams. The North, I get strong. I got a new attitude and only sunlight is a peace of mind. Seeking to find I can sleep when I die. Want a piece of the pie, the keys to the ride. I'm straight. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Yeah, I'm awake. I'm running late. What can I say?
Friends, you are not here on this Sunday morning when you could be doing anything else with your time to be average. You are here to be 100% unapologetically, absolutely amazing. I thank you so much for your time. And I do just want to acknowledge in the chat, Christopher said teachers were his rock growing up. When he had no one, he had a loving teacher. He wanted to be that for students. He wants to be that for students that don't have spaces at school or at home. Will says his why is helping others and himself explore possibilities. I love that. My word of the year is possibilities for this year. Sunny or Sony, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for your comment. Jean says I apologize, wants to encourage new teachers. Judith says her why is to help kids feel deeply valued. Karen says her granny at 98 still said she has so much to learn. I just want to thank you so much for your time. Karen, again, I'm sorry, says her why is to keep inspiring and be inspired by her students. I just want to thank you so much for your time and for listening to all of my stories this morning. I hope something that I said resonated with you. And I just want to challenge you again as you move forward through this semester and going forward, that you continue to honor relationships, to know your why, and to live with intention. Thank you so much.
Oh, Natasha, you got me. I knew you were going to get me. And I know as you go through today, I'm hoping I'm seeing in the chat, there's, if you have a chance to read the chat, there's some great thank yous in there. I'm going to go and I want to make sure I want to cover quickly a quick thank you, and I want to make sure you guys can see all these people that are on the screen here with me. Right now, I want you guys to know that the Techie Besties, Sarah Gooden, Larry Black, Emma, Kim, Danny, all these people that are on the screen, these are the people that you're about to meet. And some of them you may already know, and some of these people are new to you, but there's a lot of great people that have helped us put this whole thing together. And I want to make sure, and I love my wife's, this is Laura Barsonis 2020 in the dumpster fire. But right now, all these Bitmojis of all these people that you see here, these people are all people that you're about to meet that are going to give you opportunities to continue your learning for today. Now, if you don't have this yet, please know, I think you all got here, so you're good. But know right now, all the links are live. So right now, here we are at the schedule. Remember the room key, the meet link. When you click on that, it's going to ask you, it's going to knock on the door, and one of the people that's already in there will let you go. We start at 9:30, so please go take a bio break, or go wipe your tears, or go get a cup of coffee, or whatever you need to get going through today. But right now, you'll notice that everything Natasha talked about, everything that she said, everything that she felt, I'm hoping you start to see that there's a thread going through in the sessions we have today. So make sure that you know, if she just said the ROI and the impact that we make, look at these sessions and see that these are the same things for you. The one thing I know that some people have already messaged me is you don't know where to go or which one you want to go to. You have 2 choices sometimes you want to go to, or 3 choices. It's okay. Everything is on the website later on. So I want to make sure you guys know, up here on the top where it says ITerateEd.org, this is where we have our opportunities to go. You go to the website, all the links will become videos later on. So right now, I just want to make sure it's going to look exactly like this. So here I am on the website. If I scroll through, you'll notice right now, the keynote will go in here and the videos will go in here. If you go up, if for those of you, this is your first one, if you look at Virtual Summit 2020, the last one that we did in the summer, if you click on this one, you'll notice right up here, when you click on it, you'll notice that up here, you have the keynote from last time. And then you'll notice right now under all the sessions here, if you want to know more about Clever or YouTube or all these things here that are here, anytime you click on the button below, you'll notice right now when I come over here and click on the button, it's going to take me to where the session resources are and the video. So right now, know that if you just feel like there's too many things going on and you don't know where to go, this will all be there for you. So right now, I want you guys to take a deep breath. I want you to know that today, Natasha started us off. And again, and if you're still watching the chat, Natasha, love for you, including for me. You asking my why, future me. I know I'm going to forget as soon as I hit enter. As soon as I typed it in and hit enter, I'm actually going to do a couple of these. So letter to the future. What an amazing idea, because we get inspired and we forget, and we're human. So right now, I'm going to do a couple different ones of these. I'm actually going to make one for each of my kids to make sure to remind me on those tough days of I'm talking my own children. like you got to remember what is the important things you need to say. And for husbands, I'm going to tell you, this could be a good idea for your wives to think about. Hey, just random, remind yourself why you love that person, what makes them special, just those little things that we need sometimes to help us out. All right, you guys have about a little less than 10 minutes. Go. Larry's about to stop this session, and then we're going to go get ready for all the stuff on there. So Natasha, one more time, I'm wearing the Hello Kitty thing for you. I didn't know that was your thing, but right now, Natasha loves Hello Kitty. You need to ask her more about that. But Larry, let's get going. Thank you guys for coming so far this morning, and we'll see you all